Well, good morning. Pastor Alvin Blackard here, Senior Pastor of Northside Assembly of God Church in the city of Springfield, Missouri. Today is Senior Saints Saturday, and we want to highlight a very special lady who has gone on to be with the Lord. Her name is Montiel Peck. I became acquainted with her husband Ron and sister Montiel and her family, her daughter Rhonda and her daughter Renee, and we have been friends for many, many years. We were neighbors, lived across the street from each other, and she was so special to our children growing up as well as to the children of the church. She would come in with all of her missionary garb on and share Bible stories about being a missionary. And so I was thinking about today, and I wanted to highlight this wonderful life of this lady, Montiel Peck. I have a book that she authored. It is Daddy's Little Missionary, and I'm going to read some portions of this book to you and then give you a couple of my own reflections on Montiel. If you ever wondered what the day-to-day life of a missionary is, this book by Montiel Peck will make you feel like you were there with them. For 43 years, Montiel and her husband Ron ministered to unreached Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists, planting churches, discipling believers, teaching in Bible schools, directing evangelism outreaches, and providing compassion ministries during disasters. Ron served as a director of the Center to Ministry to Muslims Now Global Initiative for 8 years, and Brother and Sister Peck diligently did missionary service, fulfilling the Great Commission. And as you would to look through this book and read it, you will find Daddy's Little Missionary. You will sense that their lifelong dependence on the Holy Spirit and the passion of the lost. I believe that this book will truly inspire you. I want to continue reading just the first portion of this book in the life of Montiel, and I think it will just give you tremendous insight. From the day I was born, Daddy called me his little missionary. I wondered if he felt God had something special for me to do because I was born the same day that my brother died. I was 17 months old when my sister Lorraine was born. And 2 years later, another sister, Charlotte, was born. Then in November of 1938, when I was 4 years old, my 37-year-old father died. He had double pneumonia and was sick several days before he passed away. He knew he was dying, and he tried to guide Mother, helping her with important decisions he knew she'd face after he was gone. The day before he passed, several ministers were at the house praying. And when they went into his room, he asked about the music he had heard. But there had been no music being played. He said, I heard a few strands of the most beautiful music, and it won't be long until I will hear more. We all knew he heard music from heaven. Daddy took time to pray with each one of us before he went to be with the Lord. And when I came into his room at 4 years old, Daddy asked, and who are you? I instinctively responded, Daddy, I'm Daddy's little missionary. After my daddy died, Mother was left with 4 little girls. And she prayed and asked God to let her make a living at home so she wouldn't have to work outside the home and leave us. We had 2 cows and sold milk. And we also sold eggs from our chickens and vegetables from our garden. And during the war, Mother kept boarders. And later she kept children for working mothers. Mother taught these children how to pray over their meals. And when they went home, they wouldn't let their parents eat until they thanked God for the food. Mother had a great impact on those young lives. Mother believed in tithing. She tithed all the money that came into her hands. However, she didn't just tithe her money. She tithed everything. The milk, the eggs, the chickens, the vegetables, everything. And she went to the farmer's market and bought peaches, and she tithed them too. When she made homemade rolls, she'd call our pastor to come get his pan full of her homemade rolls. We had no car, and the church was our life. We loved riding the church bus to church. In fact, every day as kids, we woke up asking, is this the day we get to go to church? Mother was Christianity in action, or Christ in action. She always tried to greet every visitor at the church. If she heard of a family in need, she'd go into the cellar and get canned food to share with them. Our home was a refuge, known they could bring their children and be safe for that in their house. And when my sister was the only one of us left at home, Mother felt led to invite a young girl she had met at church to live with them. And later, when it was discovered that this girl was pregnant, many of the church people disappeared and disappointed. But Mother knew she was doing the right thing in ministering to that young girl. The girl's family was so thankful she had found a safe place. When she had run away, Mother let the Lord guide her life. We were poor, but we never thought poor. We serve a big God, and He can supply any need. And when we needed something, we got on our knees and prayed, and God always supplied our needs. Mother never remarried, living totally for us girls, and loved doing all of the fun things that mother and daughters should be doing. My mother actually tried to outgive God. Whenever the church had a missionary or a building program, Mother gave sacrificially. But she found again and again God's shovel was bigger. No one can outgive God. I've been shaped by my mother's value system, and I've tried to pass her dependence on God on to my daughters and to my grandchildren. I could keep you here all day reading of this beautiful saint of God, Montiel Peck. I want to tell you that my mother, before she died, in fact, the day she died, she told one of the grandkids, "Call Montiel. I want to talk to Montiel." She was a very good friend. They were good friends, and my mother knew that Montiel was very ill. In fact, her days were numbered, and she knew that she was soon to go to be with the Lord. And my mother called her, and she said unto her, basically, I didn't hear the conversation, but I heard it third hand told to me that when she talked to Montiel, she said, "Montiel, you know you're getting ready to go to heaven." And she said, "You know, you're probably going to beat me there. But I will tell you this, that whenever you get there, I'm right behind you. I'm right on the way. I'm going to be there soon." And little did she know that the next day at 4 o'clock in the morning, she would be rushed into the hospital with a problem on the inside of her body. And my mother spent all day long with the surgeons working on her, trying to keep her alive. And at 4 something in the afternoon, my mother went on to be with the Lord. Little did she know that her time was coming before Montiel. But then very shortly after that last conversation my mother had with Montiel went on to be with the Lord. I was blessed to be able to go into their home with Sister Susan and I, and we pulled up a chair beside Sister Montiel, and we began to reminisce. I reminisced on the fact that Ron was so instrumental in starting the first missions committee here at Northside, and very shortly after that he was called to depart from Northside to go to another church. And little did he know, or little did I know, that God had plans for him to help guide a pastor through a very serious family situation. And God knew that Ron needed to be at that church, and how we have missed them here. But God has a plan, and it's always a good plan. I want you to know that it wasn't long before Sister Montiel was not able to really function well, and that she asked for my son Christopher to come over. Christopher always loved to go, and she had these little tops that would spin. And I remember that day that I went with him, and he was just a small child, and she took him back into her little area that she had, and she said, "Christopher, I want you to pick out whichever top you want, a little spinning top." And I remember that his eyes got very big, and he went back, and he picked out one that he liked, and she said, "You picked out a good one." And today we still remember all of those good, wonderful times that we had together. I want you to know that God does not call each and every one of us to become missionaries. But I want to show you on the back board here. I'm going to turn the light out so that you can see the board here. And I want you to know that I truly believe that Northside has been influenced by the Pecks more ways than you might even know that attend Northside. We had this beautiful board made, and we put the little missionary prayer cards in them, and it's a picture of the world, and it's all been custom and handmade. And I can tell you that Brother Ron Peck and Sister Montiel Peck, when they were here and they would go down the stairs, they would look at those missionaries and they would remind us to pray for them. You know, Brother Ron was never seated on the missions committee here. He was like an honorary missionary of the church. We tried to pull that off of the model of Central Bible College, where they would bring a missionary in, and they would be the missionary for that year of the college of all the students. And Brother Ron and Sister Montiel were the missionary of Northside. They were the representative of the missions department. And even though we set another missionary on that board, Brother Ron was basically, I think, in charge of, and he moved us from one point to the other of our giving. He stretched us and encouraged us to give and more give, and that you could not outgive God. And I think that was not only Ron, but also Montiel. And they have raised some beautiful children and grandchildren. And today I just want to honor the memory of Sister Montiel. I have two of these books. We have two of these books. And so what I want to do is I want to send this book to the person who invites the most people to the Facebook live feed. Last time we met is Chandra. She's going to get a book that I wrote, a 21-day devotional book, Joy Comes in the Morning, and so we're going to give that to her for inviting over 40 plus people to come and watch the program and watch the Facebook. And so if you want this book, it will absolutely bless you. Amen. You begin to hit that little invite button on your iPhone or your iPad and invite people to come and to move in. I close with this. I heard it once said that God had one son, Jesus Christ, and he made that one son a missionary to the entire world. Now there are many sons and daughters of God, but it was all because of the missionary heart and mind of God the Father sending his son Jesus. I trust this has been a blessing to you today. Let somebody know, and we just love missionaries, and God bless you. We have had so many that have blessed us and continue to bless us. So have a great rest of the week on the Saturday Saints emphasis. God bless you.